Hey everyone, this is Saul from Three Kingdoms Games, coming to you today with a dice game of all things. Now, being a board gamer like I am, I generally don't like dice rolls in strategy games, but if it's not a strategy game and it's purely a push your luck dice game, I love them. Now, the game I'm talking to you today about is Lucidity Six Sided Nightmares. Now, I first picked this up purely based off the aesthetics. I had no idea how the gameplay was, but it aesthetically is very pleasing to me. Lucidity plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. In Lucidity, you and your fellow players will be taking on the role of lucid dreamers, trying to overcome your nightmares and score the most points by the end of the game. If you don't succeed at overcoming your nightmares, you can become aspects of your nightmares. If this happens, that's okay. You're not out of the game. Your job is now to mess with all the other players and try to still get the most victory points. I'm going to get this on the table and show you how it plays. Lucidity is one of those games that I love because it came with a whole bunch of extras as well if you're a fan of games like this. So, came with some art inserts. Actually gave you a nice dice bag to hold all the dice because there are 80 dice in this game. Like 80 beautiful proprietary dice in 4 different colors. As you can see there. Yeah, beautiful dice. Now, setup for Lucidity is really simple. All you give each player is one of the player boards. There is 2 sides to these. The flip side's only used for in the single player mode. Now, you get one of these player boards. You get a reminder sheet, an indicator, and there are 4 nightmares that go in the middle of the table. So they have different art on each side, as you can see there. And those just go in the middle of the table. On your turn, what you do is you decide where you want your indicator to go on your sleep track. There is right along here. This will determine how many dice you roll. So let's say I started on the 5. What I would do is I would draw 5 dice, choose 2 to go back. So let's say I put those 2 back, and then I roll them. And now you resolve dice in a very specific order. You resolve any power. So power is what scores you victory points. It's the number faces on the dice. The red die is the only one that can have 2 power on it. You also resolve any terrors then. Terrors are these things. If you get 4 terrors, you're out of the game. You've lost. You resolve any exhaustion. If this fills up, you lose power accordingly. And then omens. So each omen has their own effect. Now, let's move that aside. So, player to your right gets to choose one of your dreams. Now, a dream is any die on your board, so they can even make you reroll power that you saved. Draw and roll one dream is depth. Envy is the one I just explained, which is the next player after you chooses a die off your board and rolls it. You get to rotate one exhaustion to an omen face. And you may move 1 omen to terror. So, that's what the omens do. Now, so you keep going, resolve omens accordingly, and then, as I said, I was at 5. So if I chose to keep going, I would draw 7 dice this time, put 2 back. So 7 dice, put 2 back, roll them, resolve them accordingly. Now, if any of these dice I want to reroll, I can spend power to roll dice of that color. So if I wanted to reroll that exhaustion, I could spend this. Now this would go on to that nightmare. So if someone becomes that nightmare, they get those points. So it's a risk-reward thing with that one. Now, let's say I just keep these, so leave a space there whenever you have a 2, so that way you can see what the power is. Because first person to 15 power signals the end phase of the game. Everyone gets one last shot, one last turn. And then at the end of that round, whoever has the most points wins. So these all resolve accordingly. And you'd keep going like that. Now, after you hit your third spot, you can't go any further. So you can only push your luck 3 times, essentially, in a turn. If one of these were to fill, so in a 2-player game, you go to the 4th one. In a 3-player game or more, you go to only the 3rd one. After all your dice have resolved, you become whatever aspect of nightmare you are. And now your turn is different. You either consume power, which is steal power from other players of your color, or you force someone to roll more dice. You give someone a nightmare. So you're trying to essentially drag them down and potentially get them to roll one of the conditions which will give you points, because each one has their own specific dice that they want to see in order to gain points. And it's that simple. That is how you play Lucidity. So there was Lucidity's multiplayer mode. Fantastic game, as you saw. Great push your luck strategy. But for all you single player fans, I am going to show you how this single player mode sets up right now. Now, the one player mode for Lucidity, basic gameplay is exactly like the multiplayer mode. So you'll set your sleep track, you'll roll your dice accordingly. So let's say I did the 5, roll. You know, these go down as points. This goes to exhaustion, and so on and so forth. Now, what you have an option to do during your turn, though, is once per turn, you can spend a power. So, if I wanted to, I could spend, if this was, let's say I wanted to spend this green. I could spend this green power, and I can then choose these dice to roll. Anything that comes up power doesn't go on the board. Anything else goes back in the board the way they showed up. Now, the reason this is important is because what you're trying to do is survive all these coming down. If all those empty onto your board and you survive, you won, you beat your nightmare. Because at the end of every round, once you're done, bottom row comes down, these all shift down, and they come onto your board in whatever form they're in, and you resolve them accordingly. Now, to make it a little bit more difficult, if your omen row fills with 4, so let's say we filled in depths, the Nightmare of Depths is now active. What this means is if this fills again, we lose, and I have to have at least 2 power for each active nightmare. So that is the major difference with solo play versus regular play. The back of each board has their own individual thing. And for setup, it's really simple. You just draw 1 die from the bag at a time, filling in the chart. As you can see here, it's all sleep on one side, all omen on the other. And that's it. That's the way you play one-player Lucidity. And there you have it. That was Lucidity Six Sided Nightmares. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If you are interested, and I know a bunch of board gamers are, maybe you're a Magic fan, we are doing a Jace Spellbook giveaway this month. If you want to enter for the Jace Spellbook, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Tell me what your favorite dice roller is, what your favorite push your luck dice game is. As always, you can follow us on social media. That's all in the description box down below. Follow our blogs at threekingdomsgames.com. Those are coming out weekly. And as always, I'll see you next time.